Start recording on the mixer in 5, 4. Well, let's wait till we're live on Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to share it first.
All right. Do you see video on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the preview on this, the preview didn't work yesterday either on Facebook, but it was going out.
Yeah, it's up.
All right, cool. All right, and then let's see here. I don't see the question. All right. Well, let's get started. All right, we're going to start recording on the mixer in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the SaveOne podcast, where we share testimonials of overcoming inner turmoil and tackle the tough topic of common mental health struggles. Our goal is to create a community of believers who support each other through camaraderie, understanding, and love by revealing the secrets we so frequently try to hide from others. You are never alone. What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a good day. So we're kind of pulling an audible right now. We had a guest lined up, that situation arose, and so we're going to spend some time with me and Daniel Anderson, and we're going to have an open discussion, which is likely to be interesting.
Absolutely.
And could be a little bit dangerous, just
Absolutely.
the two of us in here with no agenda. But I will say some of the stuff we want to tackle today is the struggles of life, how we navigate those. What do we do day to day when we're in a funk? We're going to dive into it. I've been in a funk pretty bad for the last week and a half, but how we navigate that, what are some of the tools that Daniel's learned over the years? What are some of the things I'm presently learning and able to put into action to change those attitudes? We're also live on Facebook today, so I hope you're following. If you are, what we would love is comment down below. If you got a question, you got a topic, anything you want to talk about, that's kind of what we're going to do today. No agenda. We're just going to have some fun. So Daniel, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Let's jump right into it. You said you've been struggling for about the last week and a half. Can you, and are you willing to identify and put your finger on exactly what that is that you're struggling with specifically?
Yeah, I can go into some of it. So there's a few things. One, there's just a lot going on in life right now, between work and a crazy schedule, lack of sleep. I also, probably the biggest thing that's been on me is, now divorced, having 50-50 custody of my kids. I'm really, really battling and struggling with not having my kids with me all the time. That's probably my biggest struggle right now.
It's hard.
Because for me, everything that I have gone through, that's when I have them with me, that's kind of when I feel peace. Like the one time I can rest the best is when I'm rocking my little girl. And so the weeks that I don't have them are extremely difficult. Miss them a lot. I just want to put my hands on them, stuff like that. I mean, it's just, I'm missing 50% of their life now. And, not by my choice. And so that has been extremely hard lately. And what happens with that is it stirs up a lot of anger. Stirs up a lot of negative emotions around where my life is now.
Any resentment?
Oh yeah. lot. And, also just so many people are going through this. I have messages all day, every day, from other people who are in similar situations, which is sad. That the amount of people often in their 30s right now that are divorced, that are navigating the exact same thing. Joint custody of kids, divorce, trauma, affairs, various things. And it's frustrating to see the world right now, and how much families are being torn apart. And for me, I'm having to come to grasp essentially with at 36 years old, my life is absolutely nothing that I ever planned for it to be. And if you know me, if you've gotten to know me on here, and then in the coming weeks, some stuff we're going to do, you're really going to get to find out, more about my personality. I am a control freak. I am a type A, give me the problem, I want to solve it. And I think that's something I've identified as over the last 8 months of my life, I've had zero control. And so for me, after you and Morgan's little episode, I talked to Jackie and did the Enneagram and all that stuff. So that was interesting. It was spot on. But
yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's scary how exact it was.
Yeah.
And so for me, control equals safety. People laugh at me. I will not ride a roller coaster. I will not ride a fair ride. I will not do any of that. I will drive 140 in my cop car and hit somebody at 120 miles an hour, and no problem. I ain't going to be in the passenger seat when somebody does that, though. I have to be in control. And so this week, as I've really tried to, do what we've been taught, sit down and identify those emotions, and then start finding the roots of them and where it's coming from. It's two things. One, everything around my kids, and then just trying to accept that my life right now is nothing that I planned.
Right.
For.
But here's the thing. So right now you have an opportunity to learn and grow. Yes, what you're going through right now is incredibly difficult. In fact, I've read this multiple places, and I can attest to it in my own life. Divorce is probably the most difficult thing that anyone will ever go through, even if the two individuals have completely broken away and there's no love there anymore.
Yeah.
It is the most difficult thing that you will go through, no matter what you feel. And if there are kids involved, multiply that times 10. So you did say, I'm a control freak myself. I like to be in control. Because it does equate safety for me. But also being in that time after the first year and a half after my divorce, being forced against my will to be completely out of control, and to have some judge telling me what I can and cannot do, it was incredibly difficult for me to sit in that. But as a result of being forced to sit in that, I then learned skills that I would have never learned before. And it made me a better person for the relationship that I'm in now, as a result of being forced to sit in that shit. So is there a silver lining in divorce? That's up for debate. But if you can change your perspective to, this is an opportunity for you to learn and grow and to be a better person in the future, then I can't speak for you, but it softened the sting a little bit for me, looking back on what I went through.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And so, we said earlier, something we were going to talk about is like kind of how we navigate that, how we try to get out of those moments of funk. Because, like right now, I have I have super highs and super lows. You know, I battle depression. I work with a therapist on that. I work with a doctor adjusting medicines for that, and it has helped. But so I'm somebody that also I feel emotions and I react to emotions on both ends of the spectrum, but not in the middle. So like it's really high or it's really low is one or the other. And so with that, um, you know, when I'm in that low point, it's kind of hard to get out. But the thing I remind myself of and what I think about is exactly what you said. So I am much more proud and happy with the man I am today than the man I was a year ago and the man I was for 35 years. Um, so there is a silver lining in it. There's so many characteristics and attributes that have changed in me because of the situations, and it's all about. I mean, that's when God does His work on people is when they're in the trenches.
Absolutely.
Suffering is where God can get your attention the most, because when you're on top of the mountain and everything's going good, that's when we fall into the, you know, everybody's prayer life usually becomes, hey God, thank you, hey God, thank you, and you move on. But whenever you're struggling and whenever you're, especially, I didn't really understand this in the beginning. My therapist telling me, other people telling me, like, hey man, you're gonna have to put the work in. Well, to me, I equate work to task. So what are, you know, how am I going to put the work in on myself? How do I work on myself? Like I had no clue how to work on myself.
Really?
And so like
I think that's
now,
common. I think that's very common, especially with men.
absolutely, most people don't. And I've even told people that now that I understand it, I'll say, you know, hey man, you're going to have to put the work in. And, you know, people that'll message me and I'll talk to them, hey, you're going to have to put the work in. And what does that look like? So for me, what that looks like is, you know, I changed the type of books I read. Now I'm reading more quote unquote self help. You know, I talk a lot about the book, The Inner Work, um, the DBT book that my therapist has me going through. I spend a lot of time sitting and just really examining myself and asking God to examine me. And obviously I'm reading his word. I'm searching out sermons on something I'm feeling, you know. I'm asking people that I trust for their perspective on me, you know, how they view me. And so that's putting that work in, and it's freaking hard, man. When, I mean, for me, 90% of mine is sitting on the side of the road while I'm at work. You know, when it's middle of the night and there's nothing to do and you're sitting in a patrol car by yourself, you can either look at a lot of TikTok or you can sit there, which I do, or you can sit there and start asking yourself some hard questions. And that's what I've begun to do more than anything is when I feel an emotion now, when I feel anger, when I feel sadness, when I feel insecurity, inadequacy, whatever it is, I try to really sit and examine myself and say, okay, why are you feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you feeling that because of a certain person? Are you feeling that because of a certain event in your past? Is it a realistic thing? You know, because that's the other thing we create in our minds, and I'm the world's worst at this. We will create problems in our head that aren't problems. It's all made up. But then sometimes I'm able to look at myself and I'm like, okay, I am doing that wrong. And then it switches to, okay, if I'm doing that wrong, what resources do I have to correct it? Or either I go find the resource to help with it.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there real quick because there was one massive thing that you left out as far as examples of working on yourself, and that's being consistent with therapy.
Yes.
Being
Oh, yeah.
consistent with therapy and showing up, even if there's no miraculous breakthrough. Oh, we had a breakthrough. I've changed my life. No, the act of you showing up
100%.
is 1000% 1,000% considered working on yourself. That, to me, that is the start of me working on myself, me being in a position to be open, honest, and vulnerable with another person.
Yeah.
And being open to suggestions, not only being open to suggestions, but coming to this person and asking, how can I improve? How can I do this better? How can I do life better? And being open to whatever she says or whatever he says, whoever your therapist is. But the act of showing up and being truly interested in seeking ways to better yourself, that is, for me, that is the cornerstone of working on myself. And without that, I'm very comfortable with just cruising right along and just kind of getting in my head, oh, what I'm doing is fine. I know the difference between right and wrong, but not having that that person out there that's saying, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Not having that's a dangerous place for me.
Oh man, so it is so interesting to me. Me and my therapist laugh about this all the time because all these past years, I looked down on therapy. I thought you were a weak, couldn't handle your stuff, refused the thought of medication, therapy, anything, okay? Now, the highlight of my week, my whole week revolves around getting to go to therapy. Because one,
That's big coming from somebody who people on the outside would see as a hard ass cop, like big muscles, like that is massive. And I talked to Jackie about this as well. Like the fact that you are kind of the front man for, hey, I was judgmental towards this, but now I was forced to do something different and actually look at myself. And now it's something that I look forward to. Hard military guys, hard police officers are going to hear that. They're going to freaking hear that. And they're going to be like, hey, Jeremy RastD, he's done something different. He's delved into this whole new way of looking at himself. Maybe I can too. And that I can too is going to change lives in a big way.
And I mean, that's my goal. For me, like when I go to therapy, man, I go in there and I approach therapy the same way I approach physical workouts, the same way I approach going to the range, working on firearm training, the same way I work on going into the shoot house, running drills. Like, it's time to freaking go to work. Like, my therapist will laugh at me. Like, I'll get in there and really from day one, I just made a decision. One, I was at such a place after my divorce when everything came out that I had, point blank, I had two options. I was either going to eat my pistol or I had to change.
Yeah.
I had to get help. Like, that was it. Like, I mean, that was really...
It's amazing how quickly those options can be narrowed down to two.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. So the place that put me in was, okay, I have two kids to live for. I cannot eat the pistol. So I'm going to throw myself into this. And so from I remember going in there day one, I bawled my eyes out. And, like, he even told me, like, because when I came in, and we met, we talked a little bit. After a few episodes where you create that rapport, that relationship with him, he kind of made some jokes. He was like, yeah, man, he was like, day one coming in, like, cop, all about working out, all about training, tatted up. He was like, I kind of figured I was going to have to pry. He was like, 10 minutes in, you were pouring it out. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I had decided, like, I had made the decision, like, I'm either going to kill myself or I'm going to change myself.
Yeah.
One of two things is going to happen. And so I approached therapy just completely open, and that's how I approach it every week. I look forward to it so much.
It sounds like you were blessed with the gift of desperation.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's where whether you're talking about anybody, whatever they're struggling with in life, everybody jumps straight to addictions. You know, drug addictions when you talk about hitting rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, that's where miraculous things start happening. And so for me, yeah, so I'll go into therapy and I'll be like, man, rip me apart. Like, let's freaking dive in. Like, don't care how bad it hurts. Now, I will be honest, there are a few things that we're navigating right now that I have suppressed and we're having to pry. I even have trouble accessing some of them now. And it's all around my divorce. There's some feelings that through defense mechanisms, there's thoughts, there's things that I try to push to the back of my mind and suppress that we're having to pull out that is not fun. But yeah, man, therapy has been amazing. Doing the work. And, so many, especially people I'm around, type A in my careers, it's very, very easy. And I was the world's worst about this to point out everybody else's problems. Man, when you start sitting and you start asking and you start figuring out your problems, dude, you realize real quick how great everybody else is. Like, you got enough shit to deal with yourself. There's not a person in this world, I promise you, you got enough shit to deal with yourself. Don't be worried about somebody else.
It's easier said than done, but yes, that's absolutely correct.
And, like, that's been a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
And empathy. I tell everybody, the biggest thing that's changed in me is empathy.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't have a tremendous amount of that before.
I didn't. I was cold. I was cold. I was aggressive. I was judgmental. Anything I ever did to anybody, trust me, I was doing 10 times worse to myself.
Right, and you've spoken to that in prior podcasts, like specifically at the academy. I don't remember if it was the police academy or the fire academy, but one of those, there were younger guys that were, and you were really, really hard on them. And that was something that you actually kind of regretted, that you could have helped them a lot more if you were the way you are now. But that's, I say all that to say it is what it is. It's in the past. You can't change the past. But knowing all of that stuff and being able to internalize that and really take an honest look at, hey, I could have done that better. That speaks volumes to your character and where you are at mentally, because, a lot of people are not willing to take a look at that aspect of themselves because they don't want to think that they did anything wrong, and those people are awful, awful people. But two, you've changed and you're now willing to do something different, and that's massive, massive progress, massive progress.
Yeah, and what's amazing is, like, I know. So it's interesting. So the cool part about everything that I'm going through, and that, like, you've been through, and anytime you have a life altering moment in life where you have to examine yourself, it is a time where you get to reinvent yourself. And I have the image in my head of the man I want to be. I get frustrated because it takes time to get there. It takes time to heal. It takes time. None of these changes can happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. And that's one of the things I do struggle with sometimes, because I'm here's the problem, let's get in there, let's fix it, let's do it quick.
Dare I say impatient?
Yeah. Very impatient.
I'm right there with you.
Very impatient. And so, it's like I can see the finish line, Like, I know the man I'm going to be in a few years, and it's going to be awesome. The road between here and there is a bumpy son of a bitch.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm going to stop you right there. The man you are now is awesome and
Oh, yeah.
doing incredible things, not only for God and for the community, but just the world in general. You're so I would encourage you to to practice a little patience with yourself because yeah, who you are in 3 years, you may have a good idea of, but who's to say that God is not going to change everything in your life and your life is going to go a complete different way, you know, and that route would be incredible also. But it tugs at my heart when you say, I'm going to be great in 3 years and you don't taking accountability for the work that you're doing right now and you have done in the recent past to get you where you are today, because who you are today, you're doing a lot of good. You're helping a lot of people. You are changing lives right now. So don't discount that.
No, and that's something my therapist hits on me a lot. We've talked about it on here. I'm so hard on myself. And there's a lot of people in my life right now that are awesome and that give me that same encouragement. It's hard for me to see though, and I guess what I'm saying more is, you know, hope. You know, what hope do I hold on to? What do I hold on to that continues to push me to put the work in? And it's that idea that if I put the work in to better myself in every way I can find, in a year I'm going to be a better man. In 3 years I'm going to be a better man. In 10 years I'm going to be even better. So I guess that's really what I'm saying with that is when I struggle to want to give up, to not want to put the work in, to want to be just that victim mentality, that's what I remind myself of is, if, you know, I know like my most important thing in life other than living for Christ so that I can spend eternity with him, the second most important thing in my life is to be an example for my little boy of what kind of man to be, and to be an example for my little girl. So for me, that's my other thing, is like, that's why I'm so focused on what I'm going to be down the road, is because I want to be able to be the example for them. And you know, in a way, I've never mentioned it. Like, one of the things I love about these podcasts, one of the things I like about all this, and some people would maybe be surprised about this. Some people have different ways of talking to children, and as they get teenagers, they're like, man, you realize like your kids one day are going to know everything. This is all recorded. It's here forever. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. My kids will know that I wrote them suicide letters. My kids will know that I sat trying to pull that trigger on a gun. My kids will know that I battled alcohol. My kids will know about mine and my wife's divorce. They will not know the intimate details unless they're at an age where they can, and then they will. I won't protect. I will protect to a degree, but not all of it. I will be transparent with my kids because, to me, I want them one day to see and to know the battles that I've gone through, the struggles that I've had, and that I came out the other side of them, so that hopefully they never have to go through them.
And if they do have to go through them, because life happens, life gets lifey, they will have a very good example of, and as a result of you being completely open and honest and transparent about your struggles and your triumphs also, it's going to give them an opportunity to look, hey, Daddy did this also. Daddy went through this. And when your daughter is, older and married and, God forbid she goes through a divorce, she's going to be able to look at this and listen to this and be like, hey, my dad was struggling with something really, really hard, and this is how he went through it. And I know he went through it this way because he was open and honest about it. And if he can be open and honest and transparent about his struggles, maybe I can too. And there is healing in that. So yes, what you're going through right now, you're going through for a reason. I hate to say it. I hate to say that difficult things happen for a reason, but they do. They do. And oftentimes we can't identify exactly what God is working on, but rest assured he is always working on something, especially when difficult things are going on in life.
100%. And if you saw my inbox on Facebook and TikTok, it's evident why I'm going through this, because there's a lot of people that reach out that are going through similar situations that find encouragement in what we're doing and all. And, like you said a while ago, like when my daughter grows up, when my son grows up, after the divorce, I fought with everything I had to try to save our family, our marriage, and to the point where it damaged me. And my goal, I had a lot of friends, I had a lot of family asking me, like, dude, you're killing yourself. You're killing yourself trying to save something that's not there. My big thing was one day when my kids are probably teenagers or if it gets into their 20s, whatever, when they ask what I did, that was my goal. I know now I can stand in front of them and I can say that for 3 months, I did absolutely everything I possibly could to try and save our family. And then when they come to me one day and they say, what, Daddy, we're having trouble in our marriage, we're going to get a divorce, I can say, do me a favor and fight first. If you haven't done there, and this is advice for everybody, I'll hit this. We're going to really tackle this in a few weeks with Jackie, and I can't wait. We have a series coming up. We're going to do a 3-part series with Jackie Taylor. It's going to be episode 1 will be on dating, episode 2 will be on marriage, episode 3 is going to be on divorce.
Dude, it's going to be freaking awesome, bro.
Yeah, it is going to be good. But I will go ahead and say this, because to me, obviously, I'm passionate about a lot of things. I'm passionate about first responder mental health. I'm passionate about suicide. I'm passionate about substance abuse and addiction. But I will say I'm probably the most passionate about marriage. I do not agree with divorce. I do not agree with divorce. Unless you are in a physically abusive relationship, I do not agree with divorce. We live in a world right now, and I won't get to harping too much on social media, but we live in a world where the grass looks greener in so many other places. And all it takes is that like on a picture, that comment, that inbox message, and next thing you know, oh man, I could have such a better life with this person. And that's tearing so many marriages apart. It pisses me off. Like I'm having to not get fired up. But we live in a society where the grass is greener everywhere else. Nobody wants to freaking put in the work. Everybody wants to give up. Give up, move on to something else. To me, what I see and talking to other people who are in the same boat, so many people treat marriage like a high school relationship. Oh, yeah, I've been with this person for a while. We had some kids together, but, we're just not really feeling it anymore, so I'm going to go date these other people. That is not what marriage is. That is not what God created. That will not be blessed. Says it very plain and clear. And the damage that people are causing to the extended family, the kids. There are so many statistics out there, and we'll let Jackie dive into this when we tackle the divorce side of stuff, is there is not a divorce that does not hurt the children long term for the rest of their life. It does not happen. So my thing is, if you're out there, if you're a couple, if you're having issues, if one of you's thinking about divorce, if one of you's having affairs, sit your ass down, confess it, and then do everything you can to get help before you call it quits.
Yeah, I want to jump in right there. Thank you for everyone that's commenting right now. Lots of great engagement. But one thing that Lisa Alford just said, from experience, mental abuse is just as bad as physical abuse. I've got to agree with her on that.
Oh, yeah,
I've got to agree because
yeah.
you didn't mention the mental abuse as grounds for divorce, and that may have been an accident. You didn't mention that, but I'm right there with Lisa. Mental abuse, in my experience and what I've seen, can be as bad, if not worse, as physical abuse. A lot of people can take a lot of physical pain, but that mental torture, the mental manipulation and gaslighting and making someone feel as though they're completely small and completely useless, that can be as detrimental as getting the crap beaten out of you. I mean, it just and maybe even worse because there's no physical marks with that.
So my personal opinion, I got no education in this, so take it for what it is. My personal opinion in that is I feel like there's a lot of people, and I'm so hesitant because I'm worried I'm going to say this in a way that is not good. If you're going to divorce for mental abuse, make sure it's really mental abuse. And it's not something that y'all just need to talk about. Maybe go get some therapy on, get some help on. You know, because there again, I feel like, I just feel like so many people can blow up a scenario, make it much larger to their friends, their family, to justify wanting to get out of a marriage. If that's not what you're doing, I'm not talking to you. But like, I'm so sick of hearing the words toxic and narcissistic. Like, dear God, they got to be trending on TikTok every day.
And toxic masculinity.
Toxic
is
masculinity.
my least favorite word.
Well, put me on a poster for it. I'm good with it. Because, so what I'm getting at is, no matter what the situation is, if you do not first go to therapy, go to your church, seek some help before you make the biggest decision that can be made in a person's life, that we've already said and statistics support it, divorce is the worst thing you can go through. I've listened to a lot of psychologists and stuff like that talk about divorce is worse than death. And I can say, honestly, it is. Seek help first, then make that decision.
Absolutely. You got to put the work in. You got to try every avenue in order to get past that. But I think what Lisa was talking about is, routine and consistent mental abuse.
Absolutely.
100% grounds for divorce.
Absolutely. And I see that. So in my job, obviously, deal with a lot of domestics. And I see the domestics that are true physical domestics, and then I see the domestics that, I walk in the room and like the girl can't speak. She don't have bruises. She don't get beat, but she has been so mentally abused. Like, that is a legitimate situation where that person is a master manipulator. Yes, those are grounds, 100%. It's real simple. God lays it out very clearly in the Bible what you can and cannot divorce for. I see you looking at the screen. You got something else?
No. Lisa's just commented. She said, we tried therapy, but he said it wasn't for him. We stayed together 25 years. He left us. You can't imagine the freedom in my mind space.
I 100% agree with her. And that's kind of the other thing. Like, I've heard people say, so my wife, my ex-wife, mentioned, hey, we ought to go to therapy before in years past. And, big tough Jeremy didn't want to go to therapy. I can figure this out. But she didn't go. If you're in a relationship and your partner says, no, I don't want to go, say, okay, well, I'll be there next Tuesday if you want to come.
Yes, that is the ideal situation. But also, had you stepped up just a little bit and said, it's not something I want to do, but I'm willing to give it a shot. If you took that first step, the chances of her following those actions probably would have been really high. So
I'll leave it at saying that we did go.
Okay. All right.
We did attend therapy when we lived in Texas.
Okay.
And it didn't last. So, but yeah, the point is work on it. So I know we're kind of really going down this rabbit hole of marriage and divorce. I need Jackie in here.
It's okay. No, this is good.
But,
this is good.
My biggest thing is quit chasing greener grass. Work on the marriage you have, the kids you have, the family you have. Exercise all avenues before you make the most detrimental decision that you can make in this lifetime.
100%. Why don't you water the grass that's on your side?
Yes. Yes.
And maybe fertilize it, maybe
and
aerate it a little bit.
And if
put some work in.
If you're married, my advice to you, protect it. I used to laugh at people that had like joint Facebook accounts and stuff like that. It's not a bad idea. At least know each other's passwords. At least know each other.
I don't disagree.
Transparency. Because Satan loves to destroy marriages, and he will destroy it by presenting something that looks greener on the other side, and then the infection is in, and it'll grow. And so protect one another. If you're married and you get a message from somebody, hey, I love your picture, respond back, thanks, bye. It's that simple. Don't give people an avenue to come into your life. I was so protective of that. I was so because I'm a man. I'm completely sinful. When I lived in Texas, for instance, and I was in sales, I traveled a lot. I traveled all over the U.S., had unlimited credit card, the nicest restaurants. Man, I could have cheated all I wanted to. My wife's at home. I'm out here at these conferences. I had the opportunities. Never did hand on my Bible, swear on my children. I've never cheated on somebody a day in my life. I have been presented with the offers out there. I was so protective of it. I had rules in place. I never went out to eat with another female while I was married, even if it was a coworker, if it was a client, if it was a family friend, nothing. I did not travel with another female. I did not talk. I did not have conversation with another female. Damn sure never talked to another female about my marriage or anything. So, like, for me, I think that's important. When I was in sales, coworkers, if I needed to have a lunch with a female coworker to discuss some stuff, hey, bro, you're coming to lunch with us today. You know, you got nothing to do with the conversation, but you're coming to lunch with us. That is protecting your marriage. That is protecting your family. Do not open the door for Satan to get into your marriage and tear your family apart.
Yeah, and it's so easy because that little message that says, "Hey, you look really pretty," or "You looked really pretty today," or something. There is a physiological reaction that happens in the brain
100%.
that makes that feel really good, especially if you're not getting all the attention from your husband or your wife that you think you deserve. Having that person just say a simple thing is going to release dopamine, and it's going to feel good. So having those boundaries set up in advance, not a bad idea.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, dude, people don't care, man. They will message married people so quick. They don't care what they're doing. And like you said, I mean, you have to be protective of it, because if you get that message on the day where maybe your spouse didn't tell you you looked good, oh man, then that response may turn into, oh, thank you, I haven't heard that in a while.
Right. It's
And
it
dude,
happens
the rabbit hole
every day.
is ugly. And so, I'm very big on that. I literally, after my divorce, I looked, like I remember looking at my Facebook, like I didn't even have a message with another female, like best friends of mine for decades. If I needed to talk to their wife about something, I would have my wife contact them. I would tell my buddy, hey, let your wife know this isn't this. Unless it was like we're planning a surprise party and all that. But there would be other people in the message. Like, I was even protective about that. Like, yeah, we're sinful. We will fail. And Satan knows how to tempt us. And so that's my biggest thing. And that's something I can't wait to tackle with Jackie is, how do you protect your marriage? It's simple, but for some people it's not. But you have to protect it. It's the same way my children. Predator ain't going to get close to my kid. I'm not going to let a stranger around my kid. I'm not going to let my kids be in unsafe situations. I'm not going to let my kids be in vulnerable situations. The one thing that's more important than your children is your marriage. I know a lot of people are like, oh, your kids aren't as important. Yeah. Your marriage is the most important thing.
I agree.
In your life. Paul Washer talks about that, who's an awesome preacher, about the dedication that you should have to your spouse over your children. And so I say that because if I'm going to protect my children like that, why would I not protect my spouse and protect my marriage like that? They're supposed to be the most important things in your life. So protect it, people. Shut people down. Like, we all like the likes. Hey, now that I'm single and I'm in the dating world, yeah, I like the like. It makes me feel good. The compliment makes me feel good. And that's fine because I'm not married. You send me that when I'm married, I'm going to tell you real quick, I will tell you, you don't need to be messaging married people. Like, plain as day. Protect your marriages. It's Satan's number one, because I was listening to a pastor talk about this. If Satan can break apart your family, if he can get a hold of one spouse and tear that family apart, the ripple effect that affects so many people, it's easy. Why go, he don't have to individually attack 10 people. He can attack one, but it messes with all 10.
100%.
And, the people you have around you matters too. That's a big rabbit hole I can go down. But I can tell you right now, I got a couple friends that can tell you what happens with me when I find out they mess up. I'm going to grab you by the throat and throw you against the wall. And I'm going to tell you to get your ass in there and fix your marriage. I've also seen some friends. I've seen people that had friends that totally supported it, totally influenced it, totally helped facilitate it. If you got those kind of friends, it's going to be a hot eternity for all of y'all.
Yeah, that's kind of the worst of.
Like that's the most despicable human beings there are in the world.
Yeah, because they only know one side.
Yep. Yeah.
And we're really good at spinning things.
Yeah. And dude, I'll tell you, any of y'all get mad, everybody's got my phone number. Fire and police, some of the world's worst. And it makes me sick. Because I see the honorable things that some of them will do, but then I know what they're doing on the side. And now they know I call them out on it. Like, don't get me wrong. Let me find out. I will forewarn everybody. If you're cheating on your spouse, you do not want me to know, because I will pick up the phone and call your spouse like that and let them know, because they deserve to. So, like, I can't stand it. I don't support it at all. And so if you want to do that, go be single. Go be single. You can do a whole bunch of it. Trust me. But don't be married. Don't be married if you can't protect your family.
It's good advice.
So
it's good advice.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm running down a rabbit hole. I'm getting a little bit fired up.
No, you're good, bro. You're good.
Getting a little bit fired up. So
how do you really feel about it?
No, we're not going to go down that road. I will probably catch some heat from today, but that's okay. Because I am very, very passionate about it. Like I said, and it's plain as day in God's word. He hates divorce. He hates it. It lists plain as day the few reasons why you can divorce. But why are you smiling at me like that? What else do you want to talk about?
No. I mean, we
got any other comments?
We got that. No, I mean, people have really engaged. Greg Fleming, thank you for being transparent in your videos. Lots of emotions surrounding what you've been talking about.
I guess it's kind of a preview. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like in a few weeks when we get Jackie in here and we tackle
good, bro.
Dating and marriage, and because I will tell you, man, talk about a cluster and a whirlwind. Be 36-year-old with 2 kids and be back in the dating world in 2024. No. It's a nightmare.
I don't want that.
I pray a lot of times, be like, God, can you just make me content being single forever? Because
I mean,
it's a mess. But yeah, me and Jackie were talking the other night. That's gonna be fun.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah. So I even debated on maybe pulling Morgan in here for that one. She don't know that yet.
Well, I think she probably does now.
Yeah. Hey, Morgan, we'll talk in a little bit. Yeah, I'd love to have another a female in here when we go through all that.
Yeah, I think it might be. I mean, you and I were talking about this last night. I think it might be a good idea to, well, you know what we talked about, to have that female perspective. I think that could be really, really good.
Oh yeah, and so kind of on that note, I will address um, that is something that I'm looking for right now is a a good female co-host to come on here. Um, Thomas is gonna be stepping away from being on the podcast. He has started a veterans group that he's putting a lot of time and effort into. That's kind of a spinoff of SaveOne. As such, we kind of intended to start it together, and so he's kind of running with that. He has a great group of veterans, LEOs that he organizes usually about once every 2 weeks, some type of gathering. Sometimes it'll be just the guys, sometimes it'll be the families, whether that be going out to dinner or the other day doing a knife forging, a lot of different stuff. And so he's gonna pour more of his energy into that. It looks like right now, which is gonna be good. And then he's gonna be on here periodically, and kind of talk about more about that stuff. Um, with his background and addiction and the military stuff, we intend for him to come on some when we have some of those episodes. But yeah, so for the coming weeks, until God brings somebody that would be a good co-host on SaveOne, it's going to be me, by myself for a little bit. And I do have in mind that a female co-host I think would be really awesome, because obviously, we have our perspectives as men, which is wrong 95% of the time. So that female that could tell us how it's supposed to be would be perfect.
Absolutely.
But no, seriously, there is any topic you tackle, and to give you an idea, I've been really happy, really blessed. I have guests lined up for the next 2 months or a little more. And some of the topics that we're going to be going through is obviously with Jackie Taylor, like I said, dating, marriage, divorce. We got Ryan Watson coming on, that has an amazing testimony. We have Bailey Stevens is going to be coming on talking about addiction and domestic violence, some experience that she has, and now her sobriety. I have Chelsea Williams is going to be coming on, who, after the loss of their baby, brought her and Lee to a wonderful place in their relationship with God, and she's very, very vocal, very supportive of other mothers who are going through that, and so I'm really excited to have her on. She's an awesome personality too. It'll be fun, but it's going to be a very heartfelt episode. Let me think who else. I have trying to get Aaron LaRue on, to tackle some deep theological, biblical stuff, some questions I have. That would be good. And so working on a few others. I have a couple of couples that I'm talking to that have navigated infidelity within their marriage and then recovered from it and got help and actually ended up coming out on the other end of it with an amazing relationship with God at the middle of it. That's going to be some really good episodes when I get them on here. So have a lot of stuff coming up that I'm really excited about. But yeah, it's put your application in if you want to be the female co-host.
Yeah, there you go.
So I am interested in that. And so, and like I said, also, we are still actively, another one that's coming on, Mission Vigilant for the 22. Susan and her husband started Mission Vigilant for the 22 after their son, who is a veteran, committed suicide at a very young age. And so they raise money as a nonprofit, as a full 501c3. They actually have a golf tournament coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm going to be posting some of that information for people. They're raising money to help get people the necessary help they need dealing with PTSD, depression, anxiety, therapy, suicide, all that stuff. So they have a really good mission. They're going to come on and talk about that. They align a lot with SaveOne and our missions and our goals. And so I'm trying to organize, and I want to see us do some stuff together. And then, like I said, I'm presently working on getting our website done and getting us established as a full 501c3 so that we can start taking donations and applying for grants so that we can start paying for therapies and rehabs for people that I'm aware of that need it. So a lot going on. I could definitely use some help.
Absolutely.
So if anybody's interested in jumping on board, let me know.
Sounds good. You got anything else?
Man, I think that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed today. I had no idea where today was going. I hope we talked about some valuable stuff. Also, I hope anything I said was taken the correct way, and that you find encouragement in it. And just remember, keep fighting. We're all struggling with stuff. We all have bad days. Try to find that thing to keep you going, and continue to engage with us. Like I said, I've made some posts, always looking for questions. Please continue to like and share, subscribe to SaveOne, to Audio Alchemy. Can't thank you enough, brother. The relationship we've developed has been awesome, and everything you're doing to help me grow this. So I really appreciate it.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.